enjoy improving my health. And boy, I bet if my wife was on here, she'd have just passed out because that's something she's just not used to me hearing. She's always been athletic and eating properly, and I was going downhill. Matter of fact, I died in April 6th of 2021. I literally fell over dead at the Louisville airport, and I was dead for 6 minutes. And that was due to heart problems. It was actually 2 arteries that were completely blocked. So I'd like to tell you that I'm really smart, and when that happened to me, that I decided I wasn't going to live like that anymore, and that I really went out and got all educated and have made all these great changes in my health because of all the things I learned. But if I told you that, it'd be a lie, because the way that I've learned what I've learned is because of bad things happening in my life, and doctors and hospitals and emergency rooms telling me what's going on with my health. So what happened is I used to work with a company called Tahitian Noni International. They were the company that introduced noni to the world back in 1996. And I was introduced to them on July 1st of 2000. And I initially got involved with that company because the friend that told me about it was making a lot of money. And that's what first got me interested in that. And then the product gave me a lot of good benefits. I did notice that I've been an insulin dependent diabetic for over 15 years. And I noticed that my feet weren't getting numb like most people that had been diabetic a long time. Went and had tests, and it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And so what happened is that company got sold, and the people that bought it completely changed it from the way the original owners had it, and it created a situation where it was no longer a very good opportunity. Well, unbeknownst to me, one of the founders that you'll hear a little bit about tonight went on a quest figuring, well, if there's one superfruit out there, and he knew of others, he'd heard of goji, and he knew about cherries, and all these, there's Zango and mangosteen and all these different products. He said, well, there's got to be something to all these things. Surely there must be more to plants and what's going on than what we out from being involved with the Noni Corporation. And so he went on this quest to learn more, and he came across information on what's called the gut microbiome. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, this gut microbiome. And I'll be honest with you, I'd heard some stuff about the gut. I had a big enough one, but I never heard of this gut microbiome. And so what happened is this company, it's called Go Love Life that we're going to talk to you about tonight. I was actually privileged enough because I worked with the Noni company for over 20 years, and they knew that I was a person that was very loyal to them as a company, and that I cared about the company. I'm what you might call a company man. When they treat me right and they were doing me right, I always stood up for them, even though there's, the stupidity pandemic I found started way before COVID. And of course, it's gotten worse now, as we all know. But it's a situation where that's the way I felt about these gentlemen that were always honest with me. So I was fortunate enough to be the first one they called when they formed a new company and asked me if I would consider using their product and helping them to reestablish the company. So on February of this year, February 1st, I started drinking. It was actually the last day of January, I started drinking the product. So now I want to share with you some of the things I've learned that's made unbelievable results in my health. And it's touching. Anybody I share it with gets positive results from it as long as they use it as directed. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this. So this was an interesting point number 1 to me. And that is that, a lot of people are saying, well, the gut microbiome, yeah, that's the new thing. You're hearing a lot about it. Wrong answer. Hippocrates was talking about the gut microbiome 2,500 years ago. And he talked about that every time we eat or drink or expose ourselves to chemicals or hormones, we're either feeding disease or you're fighting disease. And that's never changed. The common thread in disease processes are a lack of good, diverse bacteria and a decrease in the bad bacteria that makes us healthy. And what they've found now, what modern science is discovering, and all of this, by the way, is Googleable. That's how I get most of my education. I bought a few of the books now that talk from doctors talking about this gut microbiome. I'll show you a little bit of that here in a second. But look, notice where this report's from Harvard. I mean, these are the brainiacs of the world, of which I'm not one, right? But you got to pay attention to your gut brain. Do you know that the gut microbiome is known as the second brain? There's actually a nerve that runs from your brain to your gut, and it's called the vagus nerve. And it speaks both ways. And it's, as a second brain, it's connected to every bit of your health, everything. I mean, I don't care what it is. So I'm watching the Today Show one day back in February, and this doctor, Roshini Raj, is on and touting her book, Gut Renovation. So I bought it. But it's real interesting because this book, again, is talking about you can remodel your health from the inside out. And again, I didn't realize what I was learning while I was learning it, because I was just out of shape, overshaped, and not doing well, going downhill in a lot of my health. And so they're talking about, now I'm on the product when I'm learning this stuff, so I'm already using it. I'm just not realizing the benefit I'm getting, which will come all together for you here as you hear more of my story. So this lady actually made a comment on this show that your gut microbiome affects everything from the tip of your head to the bottom of your feet. Well, I'm a smart aleck, so I Googled dandruff and gut microbiome, and guess what? There was like over 2 million hits of medical journals talking about how the gut can even affect you having dandruff or not. I'm like, what? So then I Googled toenail fungus and gut microbiome. I don't want you to believe me. I want you guys, when this program's over tonight, I want you to go do it. Google toenail fungus and gut microbiome, see what you get. Yes, it's effective. It's absolutely mind-boggling what the gut affects. So what if there was one, in our message to you this evening is very simple. There's one thing. You only got to do one thing every day to achieve optimal health. Is one too complicated? I mean, I hope not. I could do it. It's pretty easy. So let's talk a little bit about it. Here's the 3 questions that all health conscious people ask. Is there a beginning to good health? And is there one thing that I can begin doing today that will actually make a difference? Is there one idea that's foundational to achieving this optimal health? And folks, the answer real simple is yes. And it has to do with your gut. Good health starts by addressing the microenvironment in your gut, in your digestive system. And we want you tonight to get acquainted with that system. It's literally the center of good health in all of our bodies. And so here's what happens. And actually, the gut microbiome is something that's throughout your gut, your intestines, large and small, stomach, and ends, of course, at the back end where all the bad part comes out. Our focus is on creating an ideal microbiome, getting the good bacteria, the flora in there that balances and gets rid of the bad, detoxes you, and gets rid of all the junk that's in all of our bodies. And what you and I have to face, we've all heard that you are what you eat. And guess what? It's not just a joke. It really is the way life works. You are what you eat. Everything that we put into our mouths that hits our gut is either going to help our health or it's going to cause our health not to be so healthy. So what you're going to learn today, very simply put, is that not using a product like Go Love Life to help you with your gut microbiome Plain and simple, it's detrimental to your health. So what are the things the microbiome affects? Well, here's a partial list because it's everything from the tip of your head to the bottom of your feet, everything. So what are the important things that we hear about and we as humans want to focus on? Immune system, brain function, mood and sleep, blood sugar, nutrient production. Did you know that all those supplements you take, these vitamins and that, they don't, most of them don't stay in your body. And and again, you can Google it. It goes to the toilet. So the toilet's the healthiest member of most people's family. But did you know if you have a healthy microbiome, your microbiome actually creates its own vitamins? I mean, it's amazing. To me, all this stuff is just revolutionary. Energy, stamina, allergies, inflammation, skin, even your bone health, weight, your circulatory system, all affected by the microbiome. So what are the things that you can do for yourself every day so that the microbiome is going to be encouraged to have good, sound bacteria and get rid of the bad? Well, a lot of it starts with plants. And look, we've all heard this, but few of us do it, as you're also going to see tonight. But even starts in the garden. You know, focusing on the nutrients and the phytonutrients in simple organic family gardening is better than stuff that's canned, frozen, and otherwise. Then you got remote areas of the earth. You know, these superfruits that we mentioned a little bit about, they grow in remote parts of the earth, but in all kinds of areas around the earth. Then you got exotic markets. Many of you are aware that spices, even cayenne pepper, it's very good for the human body. But you got teas and herbs that have held that different cultures have used for millennia for good health. And then of course you got the ancient sources. You know, some of this stuff that we're talking about is dated back in the Ayurvedic medical system, which is now 4,000 years old. So this is only new to those of us that haven't heard of it. The science and there's been people in the know, but if you were anything like me, I didn't listen. So in the phytonutrients and comes from dense organic fruits, like you see in the photo here. Notice the colors. You know, it's critical to make sure you're getting the diverseness of all this into your diet in order to have that healthy gut. So then you get the superfoods, like we talked about, you know, noni being one of the first ones introduced to the world back in 1996, got acacia, moringa, mangosteen, all these fruits that you see here, and there are many more that are superfoods, and they've been proven scientifically to be beneficial to the gut. Then you got various herbs and spices. Again, please don't take my word for it. Google these items that you've seen on these screens and the word gut microbiome. Put it in there and you'll see what it talks about. This company actually had over 400 on their list when they initially did their research. And then they learned that they don't all work symbiotically. So the neat thing about all these things you're seeing now, how are you going to get them to consume them every day? Can you imagine what a task? But you're going to learn the way this product has all of this in it and more. So the ancient civilizations, you know, your barley, bulgur wheat, these various olives, quinoa, all things that are proven to help the gut microbiome. And you know, color is life. Why are the foods all the colors they are? Well, some of you may not realize it, but the color of food is the vitamins in your food. The taste, the flavor are the minerals that are in the food. And again, don't have to believe me. If your food's bland, what do you sprinkle on top? Salt. Guess what salt is? It's a mineral. That's why it makes it taste better. So that's how you know the flavor of your food's the minerals. Now check this out. You know, most people say, well, I eat a lot of green vegetables. Do you know 69% of the world doesn't get enough green vegetables in their diet? I mean, it's only good for your neurological health, breast health, skin protection, anti-diabetic, you know, just things like that. But how about purple and blue foods? 76% of us don't get enough of that. Again, an antioxidant, helps people with diabetes. It's a natural diuretic. The red food, 74% of us don't get enough of it. And again, look at the benefits that it has for your health. Well, we just don't eat enough of it. And then look at the yellow and orange foods. 80% of us don't get near enough. And again, look at the things that it helps. Immune system, your eye health, skin health, heart health. And we're negating our gut's opportunity to use these things by not having them in our diet. Now, this is from U.S. food consumption, and I don't think I have to convince anybody of this. But 63% of the American diet is processed foods. And I guarantee you may not have heard the number 63, but I know you've heard that we eat really poorly in this country. It's evident, and we're the most obese nation on the planet. And it's because right there, what you're looking at, it's the processed foods and the animal foods that are, you can see it, it's 88% of our diet. Only 12% of the average American diet contains the proper fruits, vegetables, the legumes, the nuts, all these things that we need to have a positive impact on our gut microbiome. So the next thing that's important about this product called Go Love Life is that they've learned through their research that fermentation, especially of certain ingredients in the superfruits, enhances the polyphenol content in it, which is the main ingredient that helps you from the level of the gut. So our company actually submits the superfruits, noni, as well as turmeric to red light fermentation to increase and enhance its benefit in the human body. It's the strongest, the red light is the strongest penetrating power of all visible lights. And Go Live Life found that 630 nanometers of this light is the most effective to the microbes growing properly through the fermentation reaction. How much? How about 25%? So the noni juice that we used to, many of us on this call tonight used to drink, it pales compared to the noni that is put into the product that we use. And again, noni is only part of it, but it's 25% more polyphenols in the noni, as well as the turmeric and the other superfruits that we combine and put into this product because of the red light fermentation product. So how many of these things are in it? 96. Now, how long is it going to take you to pick 96 fruits, vegetables, cheese, herbs, spices, let alone consume them? Well, Go Love Life's done it for you. So it's called the Daily 3 system. It's 2 sips. If you just get 2 sips and a scoop. Now, what we mean by that, there's 2 liquid supplements in this system and 1 powder. And what I do with them, because it doesn't matter how you get them in your body, what's important is you get them in your body. So some people like to do the balance in the morning and they put the powder in a shake late morning in their smoothie. And then some people like to drink the next before they go to bed, because the purple next is called detox. And most people reason, well, I detox probably while I'm asleep, so I'm going to take this before I go to bed. But do you have to do it that way? No. I already told you I'm not real bright and I'm lazy. So if I do just the balance and the powder in the morning, the chances of me drinking it before I go to bed are slim and none left town. You've probably heard that before. I just do, my wife mixes the 3 of them together with 3 or 4 ounces of water in the morning. We shake it up, I drink it, I'm done. I could do that. One thing, one simple thing every day. I could do that. And the changes it's made in my life, it's mind-boggling to me. So the benefits now of having a healthy microbiome, the things that we listed are the things that are boosted because of having a healthy microbiome. So when you hear my story and another story that you're going to hear tonight, you're going to understand why we're having these results. And again, I beg you to please do your own research. We want you to know what you're doing when you start using the Daily 3 system. And it works. That's all I can tell you. I haven't met anybody yet that it hasn't worked for. With the exception, I have one lady I shared it with. She literally has no gut. Her stomach's been removed. and it moved right through. You know what I mean? And so and I agree, she needs to stop drinking it. She doesn't have a gut. And then I had a couple other people that, well, I don't like the powder, so I did, okay, well, it's like, I was on, as you're gonna see, multiple medications for my heart, for my blood, and for my cholesterol and all this junk. Well, if I'd asked the doctor, well, I don't really like which one can I take out? You know what they'd say, right? So it's a situation where you can't, the best chocolate chip cookie I ever had in my life, I know that had a lot of butter in the recipe. So what if I made that cookie and I forgot to put the butter? Could I just smear some butter on the top now and it tastes just as good? Probably not, because you messed up the recipe. And using these three products, that's the recipe. Now I'm going to introduce you to a friend of ours. He goes by C. Rich. He lives in Texas. And listen to what Go Love Life, because of his microbiome, of what it did for him. This is amazing.
Hi guys, this is C. Rich, better known as Corey Richardson out of Dallas, Texas. I believe that my purpose is truly to share and share what has been given to me. I believe in anything that's given, much is given, much is required, and I believe that I've been given a lot, and so I like to give a lot. So I love to share good news. I had no idea what a microbiome was. I thought it was something with dealing with microbiology or so. When they said microbiome, I was like, what is that? But to find out how powerful the microbiome is, and to be 56 years old and to find out about it for the very first time and understand that everything, all illness, sickness, and disease begins in the gut was I've always heard that you are what you eat, but literally we are what we eat. And learning about the microbiome has been the best thing I've ever heard about, and I truly believe that we now have discovered the fountain of youth, the fountain of health, actually. I actually had just had a perfect physical, back in this past summer, and I had a clean bill of health, and 2 weeks later, I wound up getting hit with the Delta COVID that knocked me off my feet, and I found myself in ICU fighting for my life for 6 weeks on life support. And then after doing that, coming home on oxygen for 2 months, and then not being able to walk and have to learn how to walk again, all the way from August until just 6 weeks ago, which was on March the 8th, is when I found out about this incredible company. But during that time, my body started getting worse. Even after coming home and recovering from COVID, I started having kidney issues. I was having neuropathy in my feet. My hands would tremble and was shaking. My hands were just literally, I could not believe it, that they were just literally shaking. I was really having a terrible cough. For months I've been coughing and mucus and just really wasn't feeling well, wasn't feeling strong, and could not exercise. And when I got started on this product, 3 days after being on it, the cough went away. The mucus dried up. The neuropathy is now gone from my feet. I'm no longer limping. I have energy like I would not believe. My trembling is no longer in my hands. I just really feel healthy compared to how I was feeling just prior to that. And so that is why I'm so excited about this incredible product company, because I know for a fact that the products truly have helped me. And I believe that if you give the body what it needs, the body will heal itself. And I'm just excited to be a part of sharing that good news with everybody.
And here's some research for you. I just Googled it. You can see when I Googled long COVID and gut microbiome, this is what I got. 7 million hits in less than 0.46 of a second. And look at the headlines. And look at the journals these are from. These aren't from, Mike Hankey's Wish Library. Medical News Today, Clinical Advisor, Healthline. They're all reputable studies that have been done that the gut microbiome is connected to long COVID. And C. Rich is one out of probably 20 or 30 people I've personally got to meet that had long COVID, some sort of symptom or another. I was one. I had the brain fog that was with me. And again, I put some of this together in my head after I'd been drinking or using the Go Love Life product for about 3 months. It was, I already told you, I'm not real quick. So it took me to go to the hospital and that to learn some of this.
Hello, my name's Wes Miller, and this video is my testimonial for Go Love Life. I've been taking Go Love Life now for about 3 months. I really like what it's done for me. As far as my testimonial, when I started taking Go Love Life, one of the first things that I noticed was I started to feel like I had a normal gut, which was crazy because I didn't know that I didn't have a normal gut until I started taking it and I started feeling regulated. And it's like, wow, I didn't know I had digestive problems, but now I feel like a normal person, and it was a great feeling, to have the gut regulated. That's something I noticed after a couple of days of taking Go Love Life. But what really hit me about Go Love Life, which was really powerful, was I'm a runner. I like to do endurance runs, distance runs. I've recently completed my first mini marathon. And training up to that mini marathon, I started taking Go Love Life, and I was starting to do longer runs than what I was used to doing. And typically what would happen is I would run a 10K and take me 2 or 3 days to get enough energy to run another longer race. Well, when I started taking Go Love Life, I noticed that my recovery time between these long runs was significantly less. And I noticed that one day, I ran about 7 miles that morning, and then later on that day I went and ran out another 4, and I still had all the energy, that I did when I ran that first race. So, I really noticed the recovery between the workouts was getting very significant on Go Love Life, and I've seen that over the last couple of months since I started taking it as well. Last week I just ran my best mile, so I continuously set record performances in my running, and I think that Go Love Life has had a great impact on that, certainly. So I highly recommend Go Love Life to anyone interested to see how far they can push themselves in their athletic feats.
This stuff. So here's my story. That's my bucket of Amazon Prime subscription supplements. I was a supplementer, and yes, I was drinking Noni, but it was a situation where, when you got things that are failing on you, here's something a friend of mine told me in Florida a few years back. He said, Mike, look, I'll pay a whole lot to feel just a little bit better. And I guess unbeknownst to me, that's kind of where I was. I was spending a lot of money. That probiotic, that was almost $50 a month. CoQ10 is about $20 a month. The coconut oil, that runs 20 something down a month. That Neurovine down at the bottom of the list, that was what I was taking for my neuropathy in my feet, because as I've told you, I'm a diabetic. But here's proof way beyond my words. This is the results from my doctor. So this is actually, as it shows you there, you can see that it's, I'm gonna turn on my little sparkler here. You can see that this was from back in November of 2021. And I was just going in for a routine time for go have my blood work done. They were afraid because look at what my standard range is for this liver enzyme and what it was. But it wasn't just that. Look at all these various, and here's another liver enzyme. These enzymes were running rampant. They were very concerned that I either had cirrhosis of the liver or I had cancer in the liver, but they didn't want to tell me that right up front. Again, this is back in November. Well, then I started on, let's look, I want to show you all the other meds I was on. So I was on 2,000 milligrams a day of metformin. That's a drug that's designed to protect your vital organs from the effects of diabetes. Carvedilol, 6.25 milligrams. I was to take 1.5 of those twice a day, and that is for stroke, heart, blood. It's like a blood thinner. Lisinopril is another blood thinner. Then that hydrochloride, that was another blood thinner. Prasugrel is a drug that, because I've had 2 heart attacks and I have 7 stents in my body, that they don't want to take any chance of clogging. So that's an anticoagulant, so my blood doesn't clot so easily. And then the atorvastatin is a statin, which means it's a cholesterol medicine. So that was back in February of this year. Now, in addition to the metformin, that was a diabetic medicine, I was taking between 20 and 80 units a day of two types of insulin. The R is daytime, N is nighttime, so it's a slower acting insulin. And then on January 31st, I began using the Go Love Life Daily 3 system, all three products, because it's the system. So you don't miss any of them. And look what was happening. Now, if you notice, this date was in May. So, and the reason I had to go for this is because I told you I'm not real bright, and I wasn't checking my blood sugar the way I should. And one day I did check it. It was about 160 in the morning. I was on my way to my office. So I took 20 units of insulin, which is what I was used to doing if I got up over 150 in my glucose. And what happened is my body was responding and taking care of the things on its own. So I took 20 units of insulin. Normally I would go take 20 units of insulin and I'd go 3-4 hours before I'd eat. I never did my sugar crash, and it went to 34. I almost died. At 40, you could die. And so I had to go, the lady at the office said, hey, something wrong with you. You can't even think and talk. She called 911, went to the hospital, and they told me that my blood sugar was 34. So that's when and they said, as you can see here in this report, they said, you get your butt to the, make sure you go to your doctor, and then make sure that they send you to an endocrinologist, which is a diabetes doctor. But this was back in May. They said my enzymes in my liver had gone back to normal. Oh, wow. Can you believe it? They cut out that hydrochloroquine medicine, and then they changed everything else I was on. They cut it in half, but said, watch your blood pressure, because if it's normal, near normal, don't take the blood pressure medicine, because that could kill you. And so I listened to that. Then what ended up happening is, if you look, they did lower. They ended up now, I went this past Tuesday, so this coming Tuesday will be a week. I went for my follow-up, and they cut out another medication, that Lipitor, they cut out completely, and they reduced my other meds. Now, as an example, I was on that 6, I was on almost 9 milligrams of that carvedilol. Now I'm on, I do one a day at 3.12. And on my insulin, if a day that I ate more carbs, or I ate too many fruits that I shouldn't have a lot of sugar, and it creeps up near 180, on days like that, I end up on 20 units for the day. I mean, so it's usually 8 to 10 units is the max I take it in one time, because what my body working the way it is with that insulin, when I put it in me, it'll crash on me. But again, here's 2 more reports. This is on blood pressure and how your gut plays a critical role in that. So our message, again, it's simple, folks. There's one thing you could do every day to reach optimal health, and it's one thing. And that one thing is Go Love Life. So these 3 products, and by the way, the 2 liquid supplements are called Next, because the main ingredient in those 2 is noni, but it's subjected to the red light fermentation. And then I don't have time to show you the ingredients on the back of these bottles, but ever who asked you to come here tonight, feel free to get with them, and they'll show you the ingredients list on the back of the 2 bottles and the powder. And if you got time to sit and count, you're going to be looking at 96 different ingredients to help you every day. So I drink this detox every day. So you hear about people saying, oh yeah, I detox. I did a 5-day cleanse. Okay. I do a 365-day cleanse. So I don't, eat all the time the way that I'm supposed to, but I do try to limit how much of that junk I have. And I do not miss a day ever of my Go Love Life. So here's the cost on it, just so you know. Retail's $185, but you notice there it says subscription price is $155. So you'd save $30 if you're willing to go on subscription. And this, one of the other things I love about this company is they're honest. So if you decide to come off subscription, I give you a perfect example. My own daughter, she was drinking more of the juice per day than it calls for. It says an ounce of each a day of those liquids. And she liked it because it doesn't taste bad. And so she was drinking an ounce and a half, 2 ounces of each of them. So she's running out of the liquid and got the powder left. And she said, Dad, I got like 3 packs of this powder. I don't want to order the daily 3. I need just the juice. She went into her little back office that they give her. She changed it to what she wanted. Took her a minute max. Boom, done. If you want to stop it completely, she could do that 1 click. Boom, done. No chats that you have to go through. You don't have to call somebody. You don't have to call your congressman. You don't have to get a lawyer. You don't none of that stuff. Boom, it's done. And that's part of the reason. That's the type of people run this company. And that's why I've always been loyal to them. Well, here they are. Here's the 3 guys. The guy there on your far left, that's Kelly Olson. He was one of the original 5 founders of the Noni Company. These other 2 gentlemen worked with him hand in hand, opening up countries around the world back with the Noni Company. And the 3 of them have worked together for over 20 years. Now, these 5 people, they all had connections to the company, the Noni Company in the past too. And that's why they now are co-founders of the company. And the 8 of them have worked together for over 20 years. Why do I tell you that? Because I want you to understand this isn't an experiment. These guys have run the fastest growing company anywhere in the world from 96 to 08. TS Noni was the fastest growing company. By the way, you didn't hear it here, but Go Love Life is only growing at about 10 times the rate that TS Noni did. When I started with TS Noni on their 4th anniversary, they were doing the same amount of sales that Coca-Cola was doing in their 40th year. This company's growing 10 times faster. Gee, I wonder why. It's because it works. Nothing else would make that happen. There ain't a song about just making money that would help you get those results. It's working because this product absolutely works.